back at WNST. Real football, the fake football is all gone now, and here come the Buffalo Bills for Week 1. This guy has been a longtime broadcaster and friend. We see him at the Combine. We see him at the Super Bowl. We see him when we get together with the Bills, and I hope he's bringing me down some beef on weck and some wings and that. We welcome John Murphy from the Bills on, longtime broadcaster, and getting ready for the call of all things Nathan Peterman. Hey, the playoff football you guys had up there. I know everyone in Buffalo loves the Ravens, right?
Yeah, especially, but they really love the Bengals because the Bengals made the play that put the Bills in. Yeah, it was an amazing run. I mean, it was, the Bills did their part, won 9 games, which is a good season. And then had to sit back and wait for the end of that game. It was pretty spectacular.
Well, it's been a lot that's happened since then, right? And watching Tyrod Taylor run around in Hard Knocks and what's going on with your organization with McCarron in, McCarron out, obviously the draft pick. There's been a lot happening there. Try to boil it all down for our fan base as to what's happened with your quarterback position, because it certainly has been the most scrutinized around here after the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson in the backside of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bills were determined to get better at quarterback, and they appreciate what Tyrod Taylor did over the years here, his 3 years as a starter, but they also saw the limitations that he presented at the quarterback spot. Not a accurate passer, not a rhythm passer, took a ton of sacks, and I think they wanted to get better. So I think they would never admit that they're willing to take a half step back, but it may in fact work out that way in order to get to the draft pick. I mean, Josh Allen is the future quarterback here, and it remains to be seen how long it'll be before he steps in and becomes a starter. Not quite ready yet, and so they're going with the guy that they trust and know a little bit about, Nathan Peterman, who started a couple of games last year, played in a couple of more. So it's not optimal. It's I think many of us were hoping that Josh Allen would burst out of the gate and be ready to go Week 1 in Baltimore. That's not the way it worked out, so they'll be patient with him, try not to ruin him by playing him too early, and see what they can get from Nathan Peterman for a little while.
If you're looking for all things Bills, you can find it at One Bills Live out on Twitter along with Steve Tasker. He is John Murphy. He is, how many years for you now? I didn't want to Google it. I don't want to date you too much, but it's been a few years, right? And a day.
Yeah, I got to think. This is the 16th year, I think, the 15th or 16th year that I've done play-by-play. And I've been in the Bills broadcast for like 31 years. I think those are accurate numbers.
Well, and calling a playoff game was something certainly on your agenda, and when the next one happens. And I think it's very difficult when you have a quarterback and you're scratching along and you don't believe he's the quarterback. And it's very obvious with all they've gone through there that they've committed to this young guy, but they don't want to put him on the field and get him crushed. And I don't. And I think anytime that organization makes that sort of a decision, that's different in the modern era, because most coaches don't feel sort of tethered to anything long term to say, I need to win this week. I need to win this week. That's always the most important thing in the NFL. But strategically, when you have a young quarterback, that's not always the number one thing.
No, and I think you're dealing with the head coach in Buffalo, Sean McDermott, who's got an awful lot of job security, and not just because of the playoff berth last year. That didn't hurt. But I think ownership has committed to him and believe in his vision for the team and believe in what he has preached all along for the last year and a half, the process that he's put in place. The general manager, Brandon Beane, is tied to the hip with Sean McDermott. They both work closely together, and I think they realize that Josh Allen is the future, and their futures are tied to his. But based on, Josh started the third preseason game against Cincinnati. It didn't go well for him. And there were offensive line issues, but a lot of issues for Josh as well. And I think it was then, a couple of Sundays ago, where they thought, not quite yet. He's not ready yet. So let's be patient. Let's not throw him in before he's ready. And they decided to take the step to go with Nathan Peterman, knowing that they have, they have the backup of the ownership and they have a lot of job security.
You've seen a lot of quarterbacks there, Murph, and for this kid to be the next anointed one, tell me what you see that you like about him. And if he has to come in and play in the third quarter or fourth quarter this week, there's no saying that would not be the case. What gives you hope about Josh Allen?
Oh, there's a lot to like about Josh. He's got a tremendously strong arm. I mean, as strong as anybody in the league. And he's not afraid to use it either. He will pull the trigger and try to force the ball into tight coverages, and so far, he's managed to do that without getting in too much trouble in preseason games. But he's smart enough. He's mobile enough. I think more mobile than most people would think that a guy his size. He's 6'6" tall. He's more mobile than I think people would think just by looking at him. what I really like, too, is his attitude. He is great on the team. He's great in the locker room. He is deferential and attentive to the veterans, knowing that he's just a new guy and just learning. And he does have confidence, but it's not cockiness. And there's just a lot. He's a perfect fit, I think, for McDermott's locker room. He's got great raw material, great skill set, great tools to be a really good quarterback in this league, and they just have to polish him up and get him ready to go.
We talk about putting a guy in before he's ready. Obviously, Nathan Peterman went through that last year. Everyone's been raving about him this summer, saying that that's part of the reason that McCarron was sent out, that they feel like they can win games with Nathan Peterman under center. They're going to try to do that this Sunday coming in here. A bit of a punchline based on the Chargers game last year. I always think that that's an unfortunate thing, but for the kid to respond the way he has in the offseason to make Sean McDermott play him this week, I guess that speaks volumes to where he's come from, because when you put somebody in there too early with not enough tools around them, things happen and bad tape is laid down, as they say.
Yeah, and with Nathan, his response to the bad first half, the 5-interception first half at Los Angeles last year, that happened almost immediately. Like within a couple of weeks, he was starting again when Taylor had a concussion. Nathan started against the Indianapolis Colts in early December and played well. He got knocked out of that game with a concussion eventually. Played a little bit more after that, but I don't think, as rough as that first outing was, his first start, I don't think that left any scars on him, and I think that's one thing that got the attention of his coaches and his teammates. He bounced right back, which is what you have to do. He had a really good summer, completed 80% of his preseason passes and a quarterback rating of 124.7. He is limited as far as arm strength. There are certain passes that you really don't want to try with Nathan Peterman. But McDermott said it pretty well yesterday when he said he's got total command of the offense, more so than any of the three quarterbacks they had in training camp, including A.J. McCarron. Total command of the offense and the right mindset to do this. And so I think they feel pretty good about Nathan Peterman starting this game, and they feel comfortable with him running the offense in particular.
John Murphy has been covering the Bills for 3 decades. You can find him at One Bills Live out on Twitter. And, of course, if you want some previews of all things coming up for the game, the Bills folks will be doing that on the Buffalo side. Of course, you can find all of our work out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault as well. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by Royal Farms and the coffee, as well as we had Chicken Palooza that ended last week. Rofo Rewards card is there for you to download. Use the app when you're pumping your gas. You get your coffee, your Western fries, and your fried chicken free as well. Also brought to you by our friends at Charles Newsonoff & Sons. Since 1923, true love comes in all shapes and sizes, and there's always something for everybody's budget at Charles Newsonoff & Sons. They buy gold as well. Go see Sydney over Parkville at charlesnewsonoff.com. Let's grow old together. If you see this Buffalo Bills flower behind me, as well as the Ravens and the Terps flower, that's all Sporticulture. They're our new sponsors and friends. You'll see them around me all season long. You can find them at Sporticulture. That's sporticulture.com. They are local, but they ship these flowers anywhere in the United States of America with the team of your choice. Murph, for the defensive side of what the Bills have tried to put together, a lot of familiar names over there. I can't say that we've seen the entire unit for the Ravens offense out on the field, and I know that that's been something for all 32 teams, trying to get the whole unit out on the field. Tell me about the Bills' defense this year.
Well, they got a lot of room for improvement. They finished 26th last year in the league, and they can be much better than that. They should be, really. It's second year in Leslie Frazier's system, and he's done a good job with this group. And they made some significant additions. They signed free agent Starla Tulule from the Carolina Panthers, who kind of anchors the middle of the defensive front. They have Trent Murphy coming over from Washington. He didn't play much at all in preseason with kind of a groin pull that hampered him, but he should be ready to go, I would think, this Sunday. And they have a new addition in the middle, first-round draft pick, Tremaine Edmonds, who comes from Virginia Tech, who's plugged into the starting lineup and is calling the defensive signals, and they like a lot what they see from him. They have a new cornerback, Vontae Davis, who's had some mixed success in preseason. They're looking for more for him. So there are some new faces on the defense that was okay last year, especially on the back end. They have 2 really good safeties, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, and a great second-year cornerback, last year's first-round draft pick, Tre'Davious White, from LSU. So I think I'm looking for dramatic improvement from the defense this year. They got enough good players returning, but really a kind of a jolt of some real dynamic talent, I think, when you talk about Tremaine Edmonds in particular. And I think they're hoping Trent Murphy provides a a lot more pass rush on the outside and maybe get more from Jerry Hughes, who returns as well.
Murph, I know being an Orioles fan in the division with the Yankees and the Red Sox, how that feels. We have our problems with the Steelers and the Bengals over here. Boy, the Patriots, I don't know when that band's going to break up, and I've read all the Palace intrigue in the offseason. I know you have as well, and for your fan base as well as the Jets and the Dolphins. I don't want to say waiting for that to end up there, but at some point it's got to end, right?
Yeah, you tell me. I mean, people live with that all the time here, trying to figure out, is this it? Is Brady sufficiently upset with Belichick to get to the end of this? And so far, nothing, I mean, the more I look around, I guess you got to, it's not a concession, but you got to think they're probably good enough with this division. They're probably good enough to win 11, 12, 13 games again and get themselves deep into the playoffs. And the rest of us, Jets, Dolphins, and Bills, just sort of try to pick up the table scraps, hopefully finish second in the division and maybe get the wild card berth like Buffalo did last year. So it's tough, and as frustrating as it is, you also have to salute the fact that Brady is the best quarterback of this generation and Belichick is the best coach of this era. So until that combo breaks up, the Bills are probably going to be in this position as they have been for the last decade and a half now.
I can't wait to take a trip there. And look, you go every year. I can't wait to go up there one year when they're like 4-9 and some slappy is playing quarterback and there's only 29,000 fans there because, everybody hated going in and out of that road until they started winning, right? Now you can't keep them off of Route 1, right?
Yeah, I know. I remember those days when, they're trying to find their successor for Steve Grogan and they're trying to plug in a lineup and find a quarterback. And, I look forward to those days again as well.
Yeah, well, the old Schaefer Stadium will be no more at this point. Hey, always great to catch up with you. I will see you on Sunday. Please bring good wings and some beef on weck down here. We'll entertain you with some crab cakes and some football. And good luck to you guys the rest of the way. Always interesting watching the Buffalo Bills. It's an interesting little soap opera you got going on up there, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Nestor. You too. I'll see you Sunday.
You got it. Murphy is. You can find him out at One Bills Live. John Murphy been calling the action for a decade and a half, but a part of the Bills broadcast for 3 decades now at One Bills Live and WGR 550 up in Buffalo. You can find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. You get our morning newspaper delivered to your email inbox each and every morning free of charge. It's all brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness at planetfitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. Also brought to you by our friends at Laurel and the Maryland Jockey Club. The entries on the front of WNST.net as well as in our morning newspaper each and every morning. The DeFrancis Dash next weekend, as well as the Maryland Million coming up on October the 20th at Laurel. Get down there, get a crab cake, sit in that newly remodeled sports bar they have down. It's fantastic down in Laurel. If you haven't been, trust me, go check it out. You will be impressed. Vegas style. I'm digging it. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. We stream live on our Facebook Live as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. And, of course, the buyatoyota.com audio vault there 24 hours a day for anything you miss. No static at all, just like our friends at Steely Dan and FM, where they'll be playing at the Modell Lyric, one of our great sponsors. Check out the website. It's modell-lyric.com. John Cusack's bringing in a screening of Say Anything, one of the great movies of my restless youth as well. That's on September 15th, coming up next week. Steely Dan on October 11th, and the band Kansas bringing it in on November 24th. I interviewed David Ragsdale, the violinist from Kansas. You can find that out in the audio vault as well up at WNST.net. There's magic at the Modell Lyric. Learn more at modell-lyric.com. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.